the simplest sense, the difference between education and learning is education is from the outside in. Education's outside of a being and looking back on and saying, this is what we're going to do in order to effectuate change. Learning is always from the inside out. The one thing we can say is that whereas what knowledge and skills and experiences are necessary and relevant to a child's future, right, that's kind of fuzzy. But what's not fuzzy is that their ongoing ability to learn, how well they're able to extend themselves when they get there into areas that we can't even predict at the time we're educating them, that's what's most relevant. So we want to provide them the scaffolding to be able to be self-directed, self-motivated, healthy, open, able to learn what they need to learn when they get there. There's nothing that we have to, and this is one of the main misorganizing aspects of education. We proceed from the assumption as if what we have to teach is more important than how well they learn. And there's no way that can be true.
We somehow need to be able to create more malleability in adults, to be able to help children, especially at the stages in high school, for example, where they're maturing into mature adults, to help them learn how to learn, not just to teach them facts, but to help them adapt later as an adult to a changing world so that they can, you know, if they have to get a new job or if they have to move to a new city or if they have to learn how to live in a new culture, they can do it.
There's no substitute for a parent or a teacher becoming an ever better first-person learner themselves and learning their way into being alongside the heart and mind of a learner who's struggling so they can actually feel and see and experience the struggle that the child's having for themselves in a way that they can help, rather than, again, throw a model at.
If you go back and look at the history of education, right, the modern school system was put into place at about the same time that mass assembly lines, mass production was developed. And the idea was that you had one person who was doing one thing, but they did it over and over and over again. And you train the person, it may take some effort to train them, but once they're in place, they can more or less stay there for the rest of their life, right? And that of course, means, you know, a limited amount of education is needed and perhaps a limited amount of flexibility because, in fact, maybe you don't want flexibility because maybe the person will be unhappy about being in the assembly line. So what you really need now, okay, we're dealing with a world that's changing every minute where, you know, you can't count on having the same job the next year.
If I had the power as the czar, the first thing I'd do is I'd create the Institute for the Study and Prevention of Acquired Learning Disabilities, an entity outside of the influence of the Department of Education, has no accountability to the Department of Education. Its purpose is simply to better understand human learning, its impact on every aspect of development and of society, and to look at how human learning disables human learning in the context of development and in the context of school, so that it's a feedback loop to government and to schools without having an educational objective or curriculum driving it. So that's number one. Number two, and connected to that, and this is something brought out in conversations I've had with some economists, particularly Heckman, who's won the Nobel Prize for his version of economics, is we have yet to be able to appreciate the capital value of learning. Right? We can't capitalize learning. We don't have a metric that says your learning is valuable and we can put a dollar value on it. So learning's invisible to our economic metrics. And so that's one of the other things that needs to change in order to really shift the way society thinks about this.